The last lecture of this semester, if you're in personal finance at the University of Houston at the Bauer College of Business, welcome. If you're joining us on Facebook or the YouTube, we're streaming live, and this video will be posted in your playlist at Money Study Group. So welcome aboard. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, please leave a comment. Let me know you're there so that I can just see that you participated in this week's lecture, which you are required to do. Okay, and if you're not in our course, you're welcome to watch this last lecture. We're going to talk about the blueprint for financial success and how that's been integrated into the financial planning process this whole semester. And so let me jump over into the Zoom room and let some folks into the Zoom room. We're still a minute or two early, but I'll go ahead and let some folks in. Hey, Chris, you're probably not hearing me yet, but Vivian, Chris, Sadaf, good morning. Hopefully you can hear me. If you would, please chat in and just let me know you can hear me. I'm going to open my chat. Thank you, Vivian. I appreciate that. I put my chat over there so I have a different screen so I can keep up with that. Thanks, Chris. Good to see you. Good to see your chat. I don't really see you. Hopefully you can see me. You see my screen, right? You see this whole screen, not just my face. Right? You see what I'm moving up and down? Cool. Okay. Looks like so I'm a little early. If you're early, if you have a question, comment, anything you want to share in the chat, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, we'll just give everybody a few minutes to show up. I don't know if you guys realize this, but today is the last lecture of this semester. We will have some tutorials available in Money Study Group for anyone who has questions about your capstone assignment. So that's still to come for you. If you're feeling like you're not getting enough of me, you'll have more of me. But you're not really required. I think for most of you, your capstone assignment's going to be pretty easy, which is what I've been promising you all semester long, is that if you keep up with your assignments, if you don't get any major deductions along the way, and if you go back and just review each of those data cards in your financial plan over at Wright Capital in Bayrock, if you do that, it will be pretty easy. The capstone assignment is not intended to test your expertise in using the software. It is designed to test what you learned in general terms about the financial planning process and more specifically about personal finance. And so it's really my hope that you had productive semester learning about personal finance. We take a different approach in this course than I think anyone. And frankly, I don't know anyone who's doing what we're doing in Money Study Group. You get access to a very comprehensive financial planning toolbox, financial planning software at Wright Capital, sponsored by Bayrock, my company. And I hope that's been helpful. I'm going to ask you to, in this week's assignment, your final assignment, I'm going to ask you to tell me a little bit about your experience and just let me know if this whole approach, we included the blueprint for financial success as a component of the financial planning process. So you will be grabbing some screenshots of your blueprint from your plan. And I hope that's a helpful component of your financial plan. I hope it's a valuable component for my clients. It's how I think about financial planning. It's like a process. And if you were going to build a house, you would use a process, and a blueprint is typically what is used for a builder. You know, the architect draws the blueprint, but then the builder needs a plan to build the house. And so that when I've written some books. In each of my books, I use the metaphor of the blueprint for financial success. It's kind of like a roadmap, but to me, a blueprint has more detail. It needs to be done in a certain scope and sequence. if you're going to create a financial plan, a roadmap is a little bit more simple, but a blueprint, that's the metaphor that I chose. So I want to know what you think. What's been your experience this semester? Hopefully, I know for many of you, the process of financial planning isn't all that simple. So I tried to simplify it and yet cover the massive amount of information that we really need to cover in an introduction to personal finance. It's never been my intention to make you an expert in financial planning, but I did want and hope to achieve the objective of making you comfortable with a comprehensive financial plan. And so we put you right into the driver's seat to create your own financial plan using the software that was made available to you this semester. So I'm going to ask you to tell me, what's been your experience that will help me in the future make changes to the course. Next semester, by the way, summer, I'm teaching summer, and in the summer we're going to be using Canvas. So Blackboard is going away. Did you guys know that? Let me know if you knew that. We have no more time to waste. But I am curious. Do you know about Canvas? Do you know it's coming? Do you care? Is it? Yeah, it's been discussed. Maritza, does it seem like something you're gonna like? I mean, do you? If you're like most people, you're probably comfortable with Blackboard because we've been using it like forever. But I'm kind of excited about Canvas. It's just going to give us a few more bells and whistles in terms of content creation and coordination. It's hopefully going to be better. But we'll see. Yeah, it's been mentioned. I'm fine with it since Blackboard is pretty ancient and clunky. That's a good way to describe Blackboard. In my experience, it's pretty ancient and clunky. It's kind of like when I was a State Farm agent. We had some pretty old legacy software that we managed the agency with, and it was pretty ancient and clunky. But it's all we had, and I tried not to complain because it actually worked, just like Blackboard. It actually works. It achieves the basic objectives of putting content out there for students, but not really, actually. It's pretty ancient and clunky, like you said. So anyway, I'm hoping for the best. It's interesting. I used it before, but after getting used to Blackboard, it's interesting to make the switch now. So you've been on Canvas before. I wonder, I don't know how long it's been, but I'm hoping that Canvas has taken the opportunity to upgrade their tools, their media, the way that the whole thing is used, because COVID really was something that transformed or created a demand for transformation, I guess you could say, for especially people like me who teach an asynchronous course and people like you who take an asynchronous course. The software that we use for that is, something that we didn't really have to master before COVID, but because of COVID, we all were forced to jump into the technology. So instead of being in the classroom, we had to create content, really, courses, an experience that was going to be helpful and effective through this little plastic camera and this microphone. And we don't all love it, but it is what it is. And because it is what it is, Canvas, I'm hoping, will help this be better. We will see. Okay, let's get going. By the way, hopefully, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, be sure to chime in. Let me know you're here. And did you know that today, this is the last lecture of this semester? Now, I said this before, but if you missed it, I want to make sure you know that this is the last, so we won't actually get together next week. I will be here, and I will be happy to open the Zoom room if anybody wants to jump in and ask a question or say hello or just have a conversation. I'll be here for a few minutes next week. And if you're here, I'll be happy to, chat with you, but you don't have to be here. And another thing I want you to know is that in Money Study Group, you will have access to a tutorial, a review of your capstone assignment, and I will be happy to answer questions or help you with a specific tutorial if you need help. So the capstone assignment is worth 200 points, and it is required. So you will need to complete your capstone assignment in order to get a grade in this course. So you'll want to do that. It's 200 points. I grade it pretty liberally, but there are a couple of things you're going to want to watch out for, and I'm going to make sure those are highlighted again in the assignment, which will be posted in Blackboard, but also in the review, which will be and is posted in Money Study Group. I'll be updating that as we draw closer. The capstone assignment has a 2-week, I post it next week, so you can start working on it next week. You can start working on it anytime, but it is, it's got a 2-week due date. And I don't know if that's really necessary. Most of you, I hope, will just get it done, turn it in, and I'll be able to post your final grade as soon as you as soon as you complete and upload your capstone assignment. So I want you also, more announcements that I think you may be interested in. One thing I think you may be interested in is that if you have been keeping up with your assignments, and especially if you've been turning them in early, which means you've been receiving extra points. If that's you, then you should see in your Blackboard that you received your 200 points for class participation. That's important because if you look at the number of points that you have in Blackboard, those of you, again, who have been consistently turning in your assignments in early, you've been receiving extra points along the way. My promise to you at the beginning of the course was that if you do that, if you turn your assignments in early, you'll get extra points. But then at the end of the semester, you'll be in a situation where you are not really required to do the last assignment. And that's true. If you look at your points, many of you have like 800 points. You need 950 points to get an A in the course. So since you've already received your class collaboration points because you've been doing your assignments and you haven't gotten any major deductions and you've turned them in early and you've racked up a good number of points, now you get to decide. You get to decide whether or not you even want to do this week's assignment. This week's assignment it's there. It's like students are always asking me if we have extra credit. And I don't really, I've just resisted that because I make available to you extra credit, extra points from the beginning, and I announce it over and over, and I try to do everything in my power to incentivize you, encourage you, and prompt you, and nudge you, and remind you to do it early, because that's how life works. If you show up early, you're going to be rewarded for that in life, in work, in financial planning for sure. So that's why I do that. So Chris, if you're not seeing it either, I just didn't get to it yet because I just jumped in and posted those class collaboration points for basically the top ranked students, the ones that had the most number of points, and I haven't gone back and finished. So I only got to a few students this morning, and if you're not seeing it, it's just because I haven't done it yet. If you have, let's say you have 600 points without the class collaboration points, then I would have just gone in and said, okay, boom, 200 points. But once we got down to like 450 points, I'm still working on those students. So it just depends on how many points you have. But I will be adding this week, I will be adding those points. But here's the thing, and I appreciate you asking, Chris. If you're not seeing your class participation points, then you shouldn't have the confidence to know that you can blow off this week's assignment. In other words, you should probably think about doing this week's assignment. This week's assignment is very easy. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But again, it's optional if you've got enough points. So this is not my responsibility to post your class collaboration early. It's an extra benefit for students who have done the work and done it early. So please don't send me an email. Don't ask me to, if you're on the verge and you want those extra points and you want to know, it's not my job to help you to, figure out whether or not you have enough points to blow off this assignment. The answer to the question is do this week's assignment if you're not absolutely sure that you have enough points to blow off this week's assignment. But again, for those of you who have done what I've asked you to do and you've got the points, you get that benefit because that's something I wanted to deliver if you did what I asked you to do. And anyway, that's enough about that. So now let's jump into the assignment. Again, this assignment it's easy. So I hope you do it just because you want to do it. I think it might be helpful. Here's what it is. It's the Blueprint for Financial Success. So this is a tool that I designed many years ago when I became a certified financial planner. And you probably noticed in your financial planning software, we have this awesome tool called the Blueprint. And the Blueprint is based on all of the elements of financial planning. So I just posted this to kind of give an overview of the Blueprint in my words. Just this is what I think of the Blueprint. This is how I would explain it. But this article is this article is my article. Okay, I would like for you to write an article and tell me what the Blueprint means to you. What is it? How does it work? How will you use it moving forward? And when I say the Blueprint, it's a metaphor. Okay, it's a way of thinking about the financial planning process. And it includes the 7 elements of financial planning, which I've talked about multiple times this semester. I'll review them real quick. The 7 elements, I don't guess I just laid them out here, but I could find the 7 elements. I'll just tell you what they are because by now if you've been working on your financial plan, that. So the 7 elements, these are the 7 elements that any certified financial planner has to address in the financial planning process. So these are the 7 kind of key areas of financial planning. And here they are. And I use the term, and I put in your assignment a picture of a tick. A tick. It's a drawing of a tick. I should have that here, but I don't see it. But if you jump into, in fact, Chris, if you would jump into Blackboard and just confirm that assignment has been posted, that you see it there posted for this week. Chris, Maritza, any of you that will jump in there and just, yep, it's posted. Cool. So do you see the picture of the tick? That'll be a teaser for you to go check out that assignment. Yes, it's posted. Do you see the tick, the free tick? Hopefully the image is there. If not, I have a problem. Blackboard, it's ancient, it's clunky, and sometimes images don't post. The tick is there, and it is free. With a ball and chain, correct. So I had that illustration drawn because the Blueprint for Financial Success, the financial planning process, I'm kind of a simpleton, okay? And when I became a certified financial planner, I needed a simple process, kind of a track to run on. And so I designed the Blueprint as a tool to help me stay on track when I was working with clients. I needed a framework, if you will, to go through the entire process. But more importantly, I needed a way to clearly communicate what the process was and how we were going to work together to create a financial plan based on your vision for your life and your values and your purpose. And so the books that I've written that use the Blueprint as a metaphor always use the free tick as kind of the pattern or the presentation flow. And so that's what free tick is. So here it is. If I were working with you or anyone else, typically what I know is that one of the biggest things we're going to work on is financial independence or retirement planning, which is the first of this first of the 7 key elements is retirement planning. And you know that because you spent a lot of time this semester focusing on your retirement analysis. So it's a big part of financial planning, and it's part of the blueprint, retirement. I call it financial independence because frankly, I don't ever want to retire. I mean, I know someday I'll be too old to do what I do because I'll forget stuff and whatnot. And so eventually I'll retire. But financial independence is to me much, much more compelling. To have a plan, to work hard, to manage your money so that you get to a point where you get to do what you want to do. That's called financial independence. It's very different than getting old and retiring. But nonetheless, the first element of free tick is financial independence or retirement planning, number 1. Number 2, the R is risk management, and that's really insurance planning. It's a big element, and we covered a little bit of it. Obviously, we didn't cover near enough because we just don't have time. If I could share with you, I have a lot of letters after my name, and insurance planning is, I know way too much about insurance, but it's an important part of the financial planning process. And so when I'm presenting to a client, here's what we're going to do, here's what we're going to work on. When I do the free tick presentation, that's what we're talking about, risk management, number 2. Number 3 is estate planning, and it's basically how you plan so that your assets are distributed to the people that you want them to be distributed to. That's the main thing about estate planning. It's a big, important part of financial planning, especially if you're a wealthy person or you're a business owner, or you've accumulated a good deal of wealth, or maybe you inherited it and now it's your turn to pay it forward. It takes a plan, and that's what estate planning is. So F is financial independence, R is risk management or insurance planning, E is estate planning. The next E in the free tick model is education planning. So many ways to do education planning, but that's what the E is for. And then T is tax planning. So today is actually the 18th of April. Did you guys know that income taxes are due today? I mean, you have to file today. The 18th, it's usually the 15th, April 15th, which is my birthday. But today, for some reason, I think yesterday was some kind of federal holiday, or maybe, I don't really remember why, but it's today. The date was changed. And so taxes are being filed all over the country. People are standing in line at the post office to get a date stamp on their tax returns. Today is the day. Anyway, tax planning, that's what the T stands for in free tick. And then I, investment management or investment planning, that's what the I is for. So free tick, is that it? That's FREETI. So that's financial independence or risk retirement planning. The R is risk management or insurance planning. The E is estate planning. The next E is education planning. The T is tax planning. The I is investment planning or investment management. And then the last one, the C, is for cash flow management. And that's basically your budget. That's making sure that you're telling your money where it should go. So that's the free tick model that covers the 7 elements of financial planning, but the blueprint is really a tool to help you connect your financial decisions in each of those areas throughout your lifetime. So I'm hoping that gives you a framework that you can use for the rest of your life in terms of managing money. That's my hope. And this assignment is really pretty simple. I just want you to talk about, that whole approach, that framework, and I want you to tell me, are you going to use it? Is it helpful? Did it teach you some things? Did we achieve our objective in terms of our educational objective of helping you understand the financial planning process in a way that helps you make wise choices with your money? And those 7 elements, starting with, the 3 laws of personal finance, remember those? The law of spending and saving. Spend less than you earn so you can save more for what matters most. That's the first law. of personal finance, and that connects right to cash flow. And cash flow is only last because I needed an acronym. It's last because when you're making a presentation, you want to end with something that's very important. And cash flow, when I'm doing a presentation, I'm saying, here's what I'm going to do for you as a financial planner. Here is how I'm going to help you create a compelling and comprehensive plan for your financial life. When I do that presentation, cash flow, it's a huge, very important part of the planning process, because you have to manage that cash flow. It's always part of any goal, any financial plan. I mean, think about the goals you have on your blueprint. Those goals are expenses, and each of those goals has a different level of expense, and you have to build that into your financial plan so that you have the money to do what you want to do when you want to do it, and that's cash flow. Okay, so it's last, not because it's least important, but because it's one of the most important parts. And you obviously did that. You worked on that, and your spending plan is always going to be critical. And that's where you tell your money what you want it to do so that you can achieve what matters most in your life. That's the first law of personal finance. The second law is the law of tax-advantaged investing. Again, that falls right under the free-tick tax planning. Okay, so the three laws, they kind of overlap. They're just three laws. The third law of personal finance is the law of purpose and commitment. And obviously, if you're not committed, if you don't have a clear enough purpose for what what you want from your life, or what you think your life is, what is a meaningful life for you. I mean, I see so many people who are just, yesterday I saw this guy, I was on my motorcycle, and he was laying in the shade at Walgreens. And I kind of whispered a prayer for the guy, because it looked like he was, and I don't want to judge him because I don't know him. I have no idea what his story was, what his experiences were, but it's just like, I looked at him and I thought about you. I thought about where he is in his life, laying there in the I mean, he looked like a homeless dude. He looked like a homeless guy. And I felt sorry for him. And I wondered, like, what is your purpose in life? What would he tell me if I asked him? And, my sense was, and maybe I'm wrong, here I go judging the guy. My sense was he was just happy to be laying in the shade. It was a gorgeous day yesterday, and he looked like he didn't have a care in the world. And so, that's a way to live. I couldn't do it. And I wondered, like, maybe his life's great. Maybe that's awesome. But if you have kids, if you have a spouse counting on you, if you have responsibilities that require you to get up and go to work, and, you have a purpose, a sense of purpose, and that motivates you. Okay. And so the law of purpose and commitment are a big part of financial planning. I doubt that gentleman, that young man that looked like a homeless guy, needed a financial plan. He probably just needed somebody to buy him a Subway sandwich. I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't go visit with him, but he looked like a homeless guy. So the third law of personal finance is for you to think about, what is it you want out of your life? What is your purpose? And once you get really clear about that, then you'll be a lot more motivated. You'll have a lot more clarity about how to manage money. And it's an important part. And it is, if you look at the blueprint, you look at these three sections of the blueprint. The first section is the foundation, and the foundation is what matters most to you. You can see that right there. It's like, I used to ask the question, what's important about money to you? It's a really good question. I still ask it on a regular basis. But think about how you would answer that question. If we were sitting in my office and you came to me to learn about financial planning, and I asked you the question, what's important about money to you? If you had that conversation with me and my wife, we've been in that office before where the financial advisor was asking us questions, and we were thinking about how we actually did hire him on my anniversary in December. of 2007, I hired my first financial advisor on Wall Street. It was a disaster. I eventually terminated him and started doing it myself before going to work on Wall Street. It's a long story. I don't want to bore you with that. But I did hire a Wall Street financial advisor, and he never asked me anything, never asked me or my wife anything about what we wanted out of our lives. So when I went to work on Wall Street and when I set up my own company, it's part of the process that I believe is really important. And so the question to get to that, to figure out what are your values, what's your vision for your life, what's your purpose, you need a way to do that, and I call it the discovery process. And the question is, what's important about money to you? It's a good way to start. If you were having that conversation with me and my wife, she would say security, and I would say freedom. So we're opposites, okay? And I don't know what you would say, but I'd be interested. Like, what would you say? If I were asking the question, and if you said security, I would ask you the next question. What's important about security to you? And if you were my wife, she would say, well, I want to take care of my family. I want my family to have everything they need. I want them to be secure. And the next question would be, well, what's important about making sure your family has security? What's important about that to you? I mean, I want to understand you better, deeper, more. So, and eventually my wife would say that she cares about security because she cares about her family, and she cares about her family because she knows that there's nothing more important in her life than her family. And ultimately, my wife would tell you that what matters most to her is, and what's important about money to you, if we get right down to the bottom line of her purpose, she'll tell you that she wants to be a good steward, a good manager. She believes that when she ends her life, she will stand before God and be given kind of a well done, or a you didn't do that so great, or whatever. She believes that God created her for a purpose, and her purpose is her family. And that's pretty much it. So what matters most, if you asked her that question, what's important about money to you, and you kept asking and going deeper, that's what you would discover about Connie, my wife. You probably discover the same thing about me, but we're very different. We're opposites, and I would say the same thing at the end of the day. I want my life to matter. And I believe that nobody can manage my life better than me. And so freedom, being independent, is really important to me. Not to my wife. She could be happy being an employee and getting paid a regular, relatively small salary, but not me. I have much bigger aspirations, and I believe in this country you can do whatever you set your mind to, and that, to me, that's a life well lived. And so if you asked us that question, like I would ask you that question when we started out in the financial planning process, I would want to know what matters most to you. It's the law of purpose and commitment. Because if you can share with me what matters most to you, if you can tell me, here's my vision for my life in 10, 20, 30 years. Here's my core values. Here's what I believe really matters. And if you could give me like a couple of sentences to describe what you believe is your purpose in life, if you could do that, and I try to help you do that in a financial planning engagement, if you can do that for me, then what I can do for you in terms of crafting and building a financial plan that's compelling and comprehensive, it's pretty remarkable how the financial planning process unfolds if you can get clear about your purpose. And so whether you're working with a guy like me or doing it yourself, I'm telling you that this approach, this way of thinking about your financial future is really helpful. It's a great framework, but it starts with that section number 1 is, the foundation, which is what's your vision, your values, your purpose, what matters most to you. And once you're clear about it, it's like the Simon Sinek, I think, the why, when you get to the why, I mean, that's really what this is. And the second section in the blueprint is, this is what we do in your financial plan. We take an inventory. So most of you are in a point in your life where there's just not much there for an inventory. That's why we changed your birthday, made you 10 years older, and pretended that you were doing the right things for 10 years, so that now your financial plan basically represents an inventory, like a framework of where you would be financially 10 years from now if you get your dream job and you basically do the things that I'm teaching you to do, like invest in your 401k, the perfect investment, take advantage of the match, and put some more money in a tax-free account, a Roth IRA, and all those other things. So that's what the second part of the blueprint is. It's and the same thing you do in your financial plan. It's like all those data cards. Well, in the old days, I would just pull out a blueprint, a big blue blueprint, lay it on the table, and start asking you questions. And you would either have a notebook where you had all your accounts and all your money and how much, any assets, and I would just be taking notes. Now I do it I still do the same thing, but I don't do it on paper. I do it on my iPad. And eventually all of that information ends up in the financial planning portal. So that's the blueprint. And then number 3, the third section, this is not in the same order as your financial plan, but it's your goals. And again, your goals are what determine what kind of cash flow you need to achieve the things that you want to achieve in your life. Specifically, your goals. You have goals and objectives, needs, wants, and wishes. And so we prioritize those. And in a financial planning engagement, I help you prioritize. What do you really need? What do you want? What do you wish for one day? Like sometimes it's aspirational goals, a lot of times. But for many people, it's like, no, these are basic needs. I need to make sure that I can pay my rent when I'm 65 years old. So every plan is different. So I'm going to just kind of be quiet now. Thank you, Maritza, for the happy belated birthday. Thank you all for that. I'm over 50. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. But yeah. Anyway, thank you for the birthday wishes. So I'm pretty much done. Look, I just want you to write an article. And I would like you to format it. You guys do a great job formatting your articles. Maybe you could even give me permission to, one of the things I'm going to ask you to do in the Blackboard assignment, you see, I'm asking you just to give me a couple of sentences that tells me about your experience this semester in this course. And I'm also going to ask you guys to do your Bauer evaluation, which will be, I forgot how we're posting that this semester, but so I was supposed to, and I'm going to do this right now before I forget, if you will do a Bauer evaluation, this is not going to matter to many of you because you've already got enough points where, points don't matter to you. But we are really trying at the Bauer College of Business to get our students to do their evaluation, right? The number of students who do the evaluation has dropped and dropped and dropped. So I need your help. I'm going to ask you, I'll do something nice for you. I'll give you extra points. I don't really know how to do that, but please do your Bauer evaluation. I will give you 20 points if you will do your Bauer evaluation and just take a screenshot and post it either in your capstone or this assignment. Now, how am I going to keep track of that? That's a little bit, it's a lot of work for me. So do it for me, if you will, as a birthday present. If you need the points, if you need the extra 20 points, then shoot me an email, send me a text message. I'll keep a list and I'll give you the extra points. But if you don't need the points, if it doesn't really matter to you, then, just take your 1,100 points that you've already earned and say thank you. So anyway, I do need that. I need the Bauer evaluations because my bosses are looking for that. Number two, I'm going to ask you to do a review, an honest review on ratemyprofessors.com. I'll post that like in an announcement, but please do that. It helps other students know whether or not this is the right course for them. But then finally, I'm just going to say, the couple of sentences that you can post in Money Study Group or on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you feel comfortable posting it, just an honest couple of sentences. And you're welcome to say, you know what, I wish he would have, or I wish we could have, or I wish whatever. If you want to give me 5 sentences, you're welcome to give me some constructive criticism. I really want that when you do your Bauer evaluation is honest, constructive criticism. If there's something you know of that you want in this course that I can do to make it better, by all means, please let me know. That's the best way to do it, is in the Bauer evaluation. But I also read those Rate My Professors reviews, and I will read your comments if you post them in Money Study Group or in Facebook or YouTube. This week's assignment, that's the class collaboration component. So those of you who have not yet received your class collaboration points, you will be receiving them soon. Most of you are going to get the full 200 points unless you missed some assignments, in which case it will be prorated and you'll get a little deduction. So I would encourage you, do this assignment, do it early, and you'll get the extra points and you'll have some buffer there. And you get 200 points on your capstone unless you miss something significant, which I promise you I will highlight the things that could create a deduction in your capstone assignment. So that will be in the assignment instructions as well as the tutorial in Money Study Group. So that's it for today. It's actually it for this semester. I mean, this could be the last time we're together. So I hope that we will stay in touch. If you haven't already reached out on LinkedIn, I'd love to be connected with you on LinkedIn. That's my favorite social media. And I will be sending you guys, here's a question. Where's the Bauer evaluation located? It is a normal course evaluation, and it should be in UH. They're doing it differently now. I don't think I even have to post it in Blackboard. Can somebody check while I'm here, while we're still on together? I forgot how we did that, how we do that now. I think it's already available to you. Chris, can you check on that? Sadaf, Maritza, Vivian, anybody there? Julieta? I see a new message. They haven't been made available yet, but it's found in Access. So, Maritza, I'm assuming that it will be made available, and we don't have to go and post it anymore like we used to. I believe that's true. I think they send faculty course evaluations app to do so. Okay, cool. You can click the faculty course evaluations app. Yeah, okay, cool. I think someone said it would be available on April 20th. That's tomorrow, 2 days from now. Cool. All right. I think that's right. I used to have to go in and post it every semester in a certain place in each course in Blackboard, but we don't have to do that anymore. So cool. So I'm gonna, like I said, if you will just do the evaluation, if you need the extra 20 points, if that incentive helps you, then great. I want you to do that Bauer evaluation because my bosses want me to get as many students as possible to do that. So I will give you 20 extra points if you need them, but I'm not going to just automatically put them in. You just save me the screenshot, and if you need the points, send it to me, and I'll give you the extra 20 points. And if you don't need the points, please don't make work for you or me. Just do the evaluation and know that I'm going to read it, and it matters to me, and you'll be doing me a big favor. And so hopefully that's a good enough reason for you to do it. All right, any questions? Shoot away. Tell me the questions. Also, what score should we be at to feel comfortable not completing the blueprint assignment? That's a great question, Maritza. So you need 950 points to get an A in the course. So what number do you need to feel comfortable? I would say if you have 800 points, you should be pretty comfortable. But so that means if you got 800 points, well, actually, you probably don't have 800 points unless I gave you your class participation. So this is where it gets a little complicated. Let me try to explain it, Maritza. So let's assume that right now you have 600 points showing in Blackboard. Do you know how many points you have showing in Blackboard, Maritza? You should know. All of you should know. So, oh yeah, so see, with that many points, Maritza, I'm not going to say it because I don't want everybody to know, but you have a lot of points. So I'm assuming, do you have your class participation points? I bet you do. Does that include your class? Did I post your class collaboration points? I need an answer. Yes, it does. Okay, so that's a perfect example. So now with that number, you know that if you get full 200 points on your capstone assignment, you have 30 more points than you need to get an A. So in your case, if I were you, I would probably do the easy. No, it's okay for setting the number. I just, that's what I needed to answer your question. So if you're listening and you're wondering, let's just assume that you have 550 points. And let's say that in 10 minutes, I give you another 200 points because I'm like, you did everything I asked you to do. You get all 200 points of your class collaboration. So now you have 750 points. The capstone assignment is worth 200 points. You don't get any extra points for doing it early. So the capstone is 200 points. And let's say you get no deductions. Boom, you're good to go. The problem is, what if you get a deduction? You will have time to correct it because I am going to be grading it and sending it back to you for corrections. But I don't know. I can't answer your question there, Maritza. Like, you have to decide. If you're in that kind of gray area, you have to decide. I would say do the blueprint assignment, and it doesn't have to be long, elaborate. It shouldn't take you long. Just dictate to Siri what you learned and then do a little formatting, and you'll be good to go. So hopefully that helps. Oh yeah, so this week's assignment too, if you have, so there again, like there's a lot of moving parts. At this stage, I can't really tell you whether or not you can blow off this week's assignment, but the bottom line is you need 950 points if you want an A in the course. 950 points gets you an A. If you're cool with a B minus, which I know you're not, but like I graduated with a 2.82 GPA. I worked full time. I paid for my own college, and I got like 2 A's in my whole college career. So for those of you who are determined to get an A in this course and every other course, I get that. I want to accommodate you. I've done everything I can to accommodate you. But at this point, you have to decide whether or not, you want to take a chance. You can blow. This assignment is optional, but if you don't do it, you won't get the point. So you may want to do it. But it won't, if you don't do this one, there's no, like if you don't do this week's assignment, the blueprint, there is no deduction on your class collaboration for this assignment. All the other assignments, if you just don't do them, you will get a deduction on your class collaboration. So all of those things you got to take into account. The magic number is 950. Best of luck. So let me make sure I answer your questions. So the question is, if we're at 800 points right now, then we'd be in that comfortable range. Just to confirm you, yes, because at that point now, even if you got a 50-point deduction, if you have 800 points right now and you do your capstone, and even if you get a nasty 50-point deduction, you still have 950 points. And I'll tell you a secret. If you're at 940 points and I'm grading your capstone assignment, if I'm not going to give you extra points, but I won't be deducting enough to give you less than an A if you've done everything else and you're just a couple points short. So I'll be generous with you if you're really close. So hope that helps. So Sadaf, if you don't see them, I haven't posted them yet. I will be posting them hopefully today. But yeah, I just posted a few for the students who had the largest number of points because I wanted to talk about it today in class. So those of you who have not yet seen your class collaboration points, they are coming, but they're going to be based on, if, like I said, if you missed assignments, if you didn't do the assignment, like if you did a late assignment and got 1 point, you're good to go. But if you just didn't do the assignment and you got a 0, it's too late now. It has to be done within 2 weeks. And if you didn't do that, you're going to get a deduction. So you want to do this week's assignment. Think of it as extra credit. Hope that helps. So Sadaf, I don't want to talk. Well, I guess I see how many points you have. You should be really good to go, man. You sure I didn't give you the class participation points? Because if you have that many points and you don't have your class participation, then okay, cool. Then you're in good shape, man. You're in really good shape. I only had a few minutes this morning. I just didn't get to you. I'll get to you later, and you should be good to go. So I would feel very comfortable at that point with that many points to blow off this week's assignment. But please do the evaluation for me, will you? I appreciate it. Okay, any other questions? I appreciate that. Thanks, Sadaf. Okay, I'm going to hit the end button then, unless first I'm going to go over here and end the broadcast. So if you still have a question, I'll be right back to you in Zoom. But if you're on Facebook or YouTube, I am signing off, ending the broadcast, saying sayonara for the last lecture of spring 2023 at the Bauer College of Business, the University of Houston. This is Personal Finance Money Study Group. I hope if you haven't been part of the course and you are a student at the University of Houston, sign up for next semester. Tell your friends. And if you are part of the course, well, thank you for being here. I hope you learned a lot. And let's stay in touch. So I'm going to end the broadcast.